Hey, and welcome to the final level of Heretic's third episode. This is Disperal's Keep. In the start here, we've got to be really careful. There's a bunch of gargoyles around us, and you have to drop down into this watery pit. We are going to have to make use of the Wings of Wrath to get out of here. If only Disperal hadn't put the Wings of Wrath there, maybe we wouldn't be smiting him in a few minutes' time. You need to go through these teleporters. Each of these rooms presents a very small challenge, especially on the harder difficulties. You can just run through them if you really want to. There's nothing really stopping you. This room, for example, has a bunch of nitro golems in them. This is made a bit more difficult by the fact that these guys are in close proximity. Make sure as you're wandering through all these spaces, you're taking care to grab all the items you can. This room is particularly nasty because these guys, especially on the hardest difficulty, will fire pretty relentlessly at you, and they can chip away at your health really quickly. I'm going to use the Shadow Sphere here. If you use the Shadow Sphere in this room, the Iron Lich's tornadoes won't actually be able to find you easily. In fact, most of the time they'll just sort of shoot past you and then they'll sort of stay at the back of the room. That's one of the reasons why I did that there. Grab the Hell Staff, going to be insanely useful. There's a secret here by the final teleporter. Make sure to grab it, you will want everything inside. And here we are, we're on the final battlefield here. I did just fail miserably to grab that. There are a bunch of high-powered items around the opening section. I do recommend grabbing them. There's also Wings of Wrath in the corner here. You can come here to grab a secret Ring of Invincibility. It's important that you do that because I would argue, especially on the hardest difficulty here, killing him is going to be a bit of a pain. But we're going to make use of the Phoenix Rod here and the Tome of Power. We can take him out of his first phase here by simply using the Fire Stream from the Phoenix Rod. You can see though we're not done here. You'll want to get as many hits in as you can. Things are going to get insanely busy in this battlefield very shortly. Once you've done a certain amount of damage to him once he's off his rider, you will find that he teleports around quite a lot like this. And not just that, he's also going to start spawning in disciples. This wouldn't be a problem if he didn't spawn in so many and they didn't fire quite relentlessly on the top difficulty here. As you can see, he will teleport around the battlefield to these different platforms. You need to be very wary of the fact that when you shoot at him, sometimes he'll just teleport away. He can be that kind of nasty. You also need to be aware of the fact that there's a whole bunch of disciples filling up this arena, and the longer this fight goes on, the more you're going to have to encounter them. As you can see, I'm trying to use the Tome of Power here to hit him as much as I can. He does have a lot of health and is very tanky. But you can see, if you're quick-witted and you're able to get around it, you can get through this pretty quickly. That was a very violent death. Once you've got rid of him, all of his disciples will disappear because obviously their power has diminished completely. There is a door at the back of the arena here. You need to hit that switch inside, and yeah, we're pretty much done with this one. If you let that battle draw out too much, the disciples will drain enormous amounts of health from you. There is another secret here, but we're definitely not going to be needing that. And that's a wrap on the third episode of Heretic. At this point, if you were playing the original retail release, this would be the end of your Heretic experience, because the original Heretic only released with 3 episodes. There's actually 2 additional ones though that were released later on for the retail release, and also a hidden episode with a few levels that we will be covering in the future. You can see here, this is pretty much the end of the main Heretic story. They do leave the door open in this text crawl for a sequel, which we know will eventually be Hexen. I feel the third episode of Heretic is really where this game starts to feel itself and understands what it's trying to achieve. It's a lot more difficult than the previous 2 episodes, but for my money, it's also probably the best looking episode in Heretic. I really did like this one, and it was difficult at points, and recording some of these levels was not easy, let me tell you, because normally I don't play on the top difficulty, so this is the first time I've actually played through this episode on that difficulty. As you can see here, we were being watched as we made our way through the teleporter there at the end by this lovely fella. That is quite the Halloween mask there. But yes, really enjoying this Heretic playthrough. I will be putting up a video to discuss what's going to be happening with the rest of this playthrough as we move forward. But for now, we can just bask in the glory that is our accomplishment of finishing this episode. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this boss battle. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate this? Did you even complete this one? Because a few people in the comments have been saying they never even got this far in Heretic because it really started to kick their backsides. And I'm totally with you. I can understand how that is. Did you like the third episode of Heretic? And where do you rank it overall? Let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.